Here.
Cindy Mangini, Marie Peisner,
Here.
Scott Ryder, not on yet. Tim Neville,
Here.
Doug McSellen,
Here.
somebody vacuuming.
What are you cooking,
I
Gina?
wish they'd come and do my house. Wait, send them here.
All right, Tina was not coming tonight, right?
Yeah,
Okay, and Wendy's no longer.
yeah.
Charlotte Riley.
Yeah, I don't know about Charlotte, but she's not here.
All right, I'll hold her open. Bethany Orette,
Here.
Melissa Everett. No Melissa yet. Jaime Cisneros. Jeff Leonowitz.
Here.
And Chris Cycli.
Here.
I guess they're on.
I'm here.
Okay.
Oh, there's Charlotte now.
Do we have anybody else on? Oh, I see Tom is on also, right?
Yep, Tom's on and Charlotte just got on.
Okay.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from my?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, show of hands.
Aye.
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 Bethany, you in
Aye.
favor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Scott has just joined us.
Perfect.
All right, okay, back to old business. Phase 1 of the Henry Barnard. Chris?
Old business. No change on phase 1. Phase 2, the final accounting paperwork is going to be signed off and submitted to the state to get the audit started, hopefully by Tuesday.
Okay, so once they start, have we received any money on phase 2?
We have not, no, not yet. I'm
Okay.
working on that with them,
Okay,
with the
All right.
state. We'll get something soon on phase 2,
okay.
but we haven't received anything yet.
And phase 3, you and Tom want to give us an update on everything?
Sure. So phase 3 is the roof is substantially complete. The chimney is complete. The only remaining item left is the metal chimney extension for the boiler that's out there that's on back order. I believe
Okay.
that's 2 to 3 weeks out.
Okay. Did you say it's weeks or months?
Weeks.
Weeks, okay.
Weeks.
I'm sorry. I
Nope,
wasn't
weeks.
paying, I wasn't
So
paying
the
strictly.
so the invoice that you have tonight to approve is everything except for the retainage, and the
Okay.
retainage is enough to cover the metal chimney extension.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, so I have D, which is the roof plan for the summer of 2021. Phase 1 of Henry Barnard and Hazardville Memorial. I know that Chris was gonna work with Jeff. Do we have like a calendar timetable that we can share with the council? Because honestly, I don't want to be like under the gun all the time. I'd like to do this in a much better fashion than we did this last one. We were really
So-
good on phase 2, so if we could actually do something like phase 2, that'd be great.
So Jeff, if you don't mind, I'll jump in here quick, and then you can follow up with anything that I don't cover. But so Jeff and I have discussed and reviewed the RFPs to get both the architect and an owner's rep on board for both of these roofs. I have started the conversation with the state to figure out how to craft the language in the RFPs so that the respective firms that are selected for phase 1 can remain the firms for all of the however many phases there are to complete these roofing projects. The state
Okay.
is struggling with that a little bit, and they're supposed to get back to me next week with that language or some sort of direction on how to craft that.
Okay,
So that's where we are with that. In terms of the council and the funding, really the timetable is as soon as you can get it. Because that is,
Okay.
as I've explained to Jeff, sure, we can bring an architect on board now and get the design done, but we really cannot even submit the grant application until we get the funding approved from the council. So as soon as we have funding approval from the council, that really puts everything in motion. So we can work backwards from that. If you say, we're on the agenda for a January council meeting for funding, we can work backwards or work into that. And at least be able to give you numbers to present to council. I mean, we're kind of stuck with the number that we have because of the referendum limit, but we can certainly work into that. But it's really, that is the driver. We can't do anything without that funding resolution.
okay, so basically, that's gonna be up to Charlotte, Gina, and I to, I would like to see the funding for each of them at whatever the referendum limit is. And I'm open to other things that people could add or have. This would be, I guess it's frustrating, but it's the only way we can do it. And I really feel that 40-year-old roofs need to be done. So I'm open it for discussion.
They absolutely need to be done. So
It's like,
I know. I don't know what the discussion is.
well, do you want me to ask for anything other than, I mean, for me, I want to ask for that, or if they don't want to give it to me, then I want to ask to go out to referendum in the spring. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I kind of feel like we need to ask for as much as we can under the charter amount right now. Because clearly, the referendum didn't go anywhere, but.
Right. So I'm thinking that we're going to ask for it's about $1.4 million to go into roofing. It would be really nice if we could actually say, look here's the money we just, brought back from phase 2 and phase 3. This really,
Yeah.
the
Yes,
arduous
that would help.
delay on that is killing me. So, that being said, I think a lot of it is that, we're just not moving in an efficient fashion at the state level. I don't think it's us. I think that-
Question.
For yourself, Donna.
I think it's us.
Well,
Question.
it may not be you.
Chris.
And
Chris,
may
would
not
it be-
me.
Would it behoove us to get our state reps involved with this? Because the delay is a little bit tiresome.
Well, I always don't want to
We can't
bring the
help-
gasoline to a fire. So
We can't, we can't.
he's coming in under the gun. We need their graces to get our approvals.
I mean,
We're
listen,
not the machine I would like to see us be.
the state process is the state process. There's no way to get around that.
Right.
Really, what hangs us up every year is getting the funding approval. We end up getting that in March or April, and the state is very clear with when we can submit this grant application, and it's the first 10 days of every month, and that's it. And really, all that does is it allows you to submit it. It really doesn't get reviewed until the end of that month or the beginning of the following month. So the state reps really aren't going to do anything. You really need council to act. And
I'm not talking about
allocate the
that. I'm talking about phase 2 payment. Why are we delayed on phase 2 payment?
Oh, because they want it to go in all together. So that's why we're submitting the F, which is the final paperwork. We'll get our payment in like 30 days.
Okay, that's what I'm asking about that. I know the procedure. I mean, I'm not, no, I was asking about the payment.
We need to ask, I need to ask, and Gina, I'm sure, and Charlotte will back me up on this, that, at the December meetings, this needs to be on the council agenda. And we need to find out if there's no will for the council to do it, then, there's no will for the council to do it. I watch this committee meet 2 times a month, and I know this committee understands that a 40-year-old membrane is a 40-year-old membrane. You know, the steel and everything else is fine on these roofs, but what keeps the water out isn't. And it's very frustrating when people don't listen. So, and I'm a patient person up to a point, and then, I think I've reached the end of my patience. Tim?
Do you guys have any, I mean, it's hard to go in there in December and ask them for money if we don't have any inkling about where they are in this thing. Can you guys?
Actually,
Yes,
Sure.
my side is on board. That's what I can tell you. We're
Okay.
your
good.
side is on board, okay.
Our
Well,
side's
we
on
got-
board.
Good,
So,
that's good to hear.
well, we have Bill who's not, you know, I don't know when Bill's gonna resign, and I'm hoping his replacement would be on board.
His
So, like,
replacement will be on board.
So we have 4 votes. We need 2
Yep.
more votes to do it. So we'll solicit our side, and, you know, our tax money has been coming in. Our building permits are up. We are not really financially strapped. There's no reason we should have roofs that are leaking. There's no godly reason for it.
Well, the other two would be you and Charlotte, and so you got 6.
Right.
Right. So no, that would be 3 plus Donna is 4. I have no
Oh.
idea about Charlotte.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
5.
So
I thought
Charlotte's
the
5. We
referendum,
need the 6th vote to get that money to do it in the spring. So I think, I think we can get 1 more vote, at least. So
Good.
we're gonna go for it.
Donna, just so I'm clear, we're
Right.
still talking about doing the roofs in phases, correct?
I am not waiting for any referendum.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So
Yeah.
we
Right.
are still going to
There
be
we go.
talking about doing them in phases because 1.4 is
Yes.
way over our charter. So,
Yes, you have to.
No,
Right.
1.4 is not. It's 2 projects I'm talking about, Marie.
oh, okay. So combined, it wouldn't be. Okay.
Right. You're talking
I just
like,
want to make sure that you are looking at stages again. Okay.
right.
As long
Isn't
as-
that phase 1 of Hazardville and phase 1 of Eli, right? Is that what we're
Correct.
talking about?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, yep.
Yep, and then if it's the will in the fall to go for a referendum, you can always do more roofing, the next summer. But I think that, we lose valuable time by not, I was expecting to do more roofing this past summer. We lose valuable
Well, I think if we
time.
got our money back from the state and I'm not, if we had money back from the state, we could look a little better
Right,
You're right.
to start moving forward. And again, I hate using COVID as an excuse, but
why not? Everybody else does.
everybody else is, so let's just blame it on COVID. I think, again, if we had the money back from the state on phase 2, we would be sitting a little nicer, a little better.
Mhm.
Right,
I mean, it just makes common sense. Without knowing when phase 2 and 3 are going to come in and not knowing what a budget's going to look like, I don't disagree. The roofs need to be done.
we can't go
The,
anywhere. if
the,
we
the
don't.
money from phase, not the 11% retainage, but the 89% of the $630,000
Right.
should come in now in the next 30 days is my hope. So
Okay.
we will have that. The phase 3,
Walter's being fresh, Chris.
why?
He's got a violin.
Playing a violin, Chris.
I'm playing a violin because I've heard this
Boy, oh
story
boy.
before from the state. So,
Several times.
I know. Listen, I'm doing everything I can to push this along.
and I know you are, Chris.
It's
I'm
not
not,
you.
I'm not-
Yeah, no one's denying that.
I'm not
It's just
putting
a
you in with the
matter of-
state.
But yeah, so hopefully phase 3, I can submit that paperwork because we'll be done by the end of the year. So we'll have that maybe by the first quarter of next year. We'll have the reimbursement for phase 3. So you'll receive that. But I mean, I know phase 2 was discussed with the understanding that the state money was anticipated. So we could probably go along those same lines. I mean, it's not that it's never going to happen. That's certainly not the case. Yes, there is a timing, but I do know that in my conversations with finance about phase 2, they were okay with it because when the grant gets approved, the town is due the money. So they moved forward with the understanding that they were going to receive it. So,
Chris, just because I'm still new at this, is there a time frame that the state has to live by?
No.
no, there's
Okay.
no time frame for them to
And
pay.
Tina
No.
Melissa just joined us. Okay.
Yeah, so that's where my apprehension comes in, is
They generally are pretty good. Yes, the virus played a little bit into it this time, but we're kind of out of that now. We did just get a large payment from JFK, so I've got a little bit of momentum going with them now. So I think that I don't see that happening every time we go through this. I truly don't. I mean, we started this process right at the beginning of this virus when everyone started working from home. Nobody had the files they needed, so on and so forth. We're through that now with them. They have a process. I anticipate it being a little bit smoother.
good to hear.
Tim?
How much money are we talking about here?
For phase 2,
Yeah,
so phase 2 was $630,000, I believe. At 89% is $560.
that's a good chunk of change.
That's a good chunk of what we're gonna be looking for.
Yeah.
And Tina Melissa joined us at 6:04. So if you want to make that in the record, thank you.
It doesn't change the fact that the total project cost would exceed your referendum limit. So you can't authorize more than that. But yes, it is a good chunk of money.
We just want to show everybody that what we're saying is happening, and money is flowing from us to the project and then to us from the state for the project as they finish. I think it just adds to our credibility. That's all.
Right.
I
Okay.
agree completely.
So I have it down. I'm going to ask for it to be on the first agenda in December.
So just to
Great.
be clear, that's going to be the 600 and change for each project.
I think it's something like 760, isn't it? Because it's the full grand list, not just.
Oh, it's going up. It's
taxable.
that much now. Okay.
Yeah, whatever it is. And also, we've had a huge, building permits and things like that. So we have a new grand list coming out in January, and I'm hoping it's gone up a little bit. Also, we're going to go for revaluation. And if I'm reading the, real estate section, the way everybody else is, I get the thumbs up from Marie that
Property values are up. I mean, they just did
They
a
are.
big thing on the news
They're up.
tonight.
Yep,
30-year
so
mortgage
yeah,
is
the lower the mill rate.
2.8%. Think about that. 2.8% for a 30-year fixed mortgage. Properties are going. I'm writing insurance policies for houses, and I'm looking at what they're selling for, and my jaw is dropping.
Yeah.
I mean, no garage, 1 bathrooms are going for $250 in Enfield.
Right.
There you go.
Think about it. That's,
Right. Okay.
so
the
I
work
think that's
now is-
positive.
Right. So the work now is for the council to ask for the money. And Jeff, you have a timetable of what has to go out so that we can have it definitively so the council understands that they don't have till March to find this money.
I mean, I will work with Chris to hammer down all the dates where we need to get through. Like Chris said, we have the first 10 days for a grant application. It's one thing to have the funding, and then pass a resolution. Then it's the council transfer money into an account. I can't do anything until there's money in the account. So there's kind of like 2 steps: the resolution, and then a council transfer to actually set up an account for that funding. So even with where I stand now, being very comfortable with RFPs, RFQs for 2 projects, doing pre-referendum limits. Last time I was aware of right around 670. We'll see what happens. as the new tax information comes out. But without that kind of money, if we just look at, your traditional 10% cost for engineering, those two projects at 10%, you're talking $130,000, which exceeds what I have available in our traditional capital architectural engineering, or, something operationally I could come up with. So, it's really, really important to have these accounts set up and established. So, come February, or January, better suited, we're ready to go and get everything in line. Because once we're in that April area, we're better off, soliciting for installers if we haven't really hammered somebody down. And Chris can attest, it's going to be phase 3.
Right, but just to clarify, the actual allocation from finance is not something I need to get the grant submitted to the state. All I need is the funding allocation from the council.
Right.
That starts the ball. So if I could submit this grant application in February, it would be reviewed late February, early March. Get into the state late March and go off the bid in April. Have everything teed up for the last day of school in June. That would be ideal.
Okay.
That's the timetable. There's no magic to it. But if we miss the first 10 days in February, everything goes out a month.
Right. Okay. So we need the funding allocation so that we make actually the January one. We need it to happen in December. Okay.
Yeah, the sooner the better. That is truly the driver, and then everything else can work around that. We can iron out the design. I don't need much of a design to submit a grant application. As Tom knows, we need the roof layout, a roof sketch showing all the different sections of the roof, and a layout showing the areas and the square footages. That's all that, from a design perspective, that's all that gets submitted with a grant application. So we can submit the grant application in February and then do the design after that while the state is reviewing the grant.
Okay. And do we have the worst sections of the Whitney roof and the Azaville Memorial roof?
I believe Jeff does have that, yes.
Okay. That's the most important thing to have.
They are the worst, but I think with what we've learned from this past experience is I know for myself and with the committee's support, I'd like to pursue the classroom wings. As I mentioned before, we really can't risk a classroom wing. So whether it may be the worst or, maybe there might be one kicking over, but if we're to choose an area, I'd kind of sacrifice a gymnasium to keep the classrooms open with the way things are going for the interim. That traditionally wouldn't be a necessary approach, but I'm very concerned with anywhere the classes are being held. And I think those are going to be our priority by just our spatial needs at the moment.
Okay. Any more questions or discussion? All right, let's go on to the next. We still have the request for the town council that's tabled we don't need the facilities committee to be named as the building committee for the roofs yet, do we?
No, you'll need that resolution at the same meeting as the funding resolution.
Right, so we'll leave that there. All right, and now energy performance contract. Is there anything new, Jeff?
The last time we checked in, the usual with our M&V, nothing new to go from there. Butch and I have been going through all the set points, making sure they're where they are. The other thing too is I did speak with Honeywell, a few of the energy engineers, and they're reviewing a few more options. I kind of took the comments that the committee had, came back to them. We had a quick conference, and they're going to get back with me. We're probably going to do a site tour of the annex at some point in the future if they feel like they can still provide a package that is, meaningful or whatnot. My only concern with them is they were looking to do something, in millions of dollars, and I'm not sure if, with all the other things we're cooking, having another, especially if we're going to go after, I've heard of roads, roofs, and windows and such. You know, I won't allude to too much, but they want to come in for like another like $6-7 million energy project with the town, and I'm not sure if I'm kind of poking them around, trying to steer some different directions. So I gave them some of our spending limits and, you know, what we can do, what we can't do, how we budget and whatnot. So I have like 3 core scenarios that I'm having them look into, and I'm sure they're trying to see if they can make money on me.
How about the third-party reviewer? Have we made any headway with eliminating that?
So I did speak with Greg about that a little earlier. I'm going to get something hopefully soon in writing. He did speak to the bond council, and he feels that it should not be a concern. Some of the other things that are going on in town, we're trying to eliminate some of the other programs because of the impact of the overall project and, you know, what we're doing. We should have something in writing from the bond council, I would say soon. I will circle back with Greg next week when I get back to the office to kind of see where we stand on that. And then I can present, you know, more or less something in writing. I'm just kind of summarizing the last few emails.
I don't want to
and
pay for
conversations.
something I don't really need.
That I'm in 100% agreement with you. The sooner we can get out of it, the better. But just want to make sure we can get there with the blessing from bond council and then engage TD Bank. So I think that's the big thing. Once we have the blessing to engage TD Bank, I think that's the process flow that we're working on right now. So I keep pushing over there and, you know, see what we can do.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Clean energy. I guess Melissa asked the question and you know, the Green Bank, and I guess what we have to do is bring that to the council. And if it's the council's will, then we get a consensus from the council, then we can move forward with that.
Can
So
I ask
Melissa,
a
do you
couple
want to
of-
pursue that?
Well, I'd like to ask a couple of clarifying questions on how we moved this way from last meeting to this meeting. Just for my own understanding. I thought we had made a request to get an assessment of our buildings in order as a committee to make recommendations to the council that are grounded in data. So I'd just like to understand a little better how that, you know, why that decision was ruled and by whom.
So I don't know, Jeff, if you were involved in the conversation, because I did ask Kasha, because she is the person in the town manager's office that is, you know, most interested in the pursuit of solar energy. And I guess she took it up with Chris, and we received an email saying that we need a consensus from the council in order to move forward with looking at sites.
Not too much directly involved, and I can definitely see where we stand and kind of get some more information on that. Unfortunately, I've been tied up doing a few other things today, so I'm a little behind on the email trains of what's going on where. But I will let you know. But I'm not too privy of what's going on, and I do apologize.
Well, I know Donald was at the meeting. Go ahead, Ms.
Yeah, I got a note from Donald that just said he would keep us informed when appropriate. So I wasn't so sure of the protocols when we came out of the meeting, having said we would, kind of ask Jeff to move on it. But what's the best way? I'm trying to sort out staff and council roles and how. I'm here on behalf of an energy strategy that the council endorsed that we have done fairly little with. And I, would like to kind of have our role appropriate, our time well utilized, and figure out, how to have a frank conversation with Kasha, the town manager, Don, whoever else needs to be there to just say, how do we assess our options without stepping on anyone's toes?
Traditionally, new requests or something, they usually come through the town manager's office, and then through Donald and then Donald to myself. That's kind of the usual flow. If there's been a program, much like the roofing and the referendum work around here, that's a little different. It's kind of like something we've been working on a little bit longer. And I'm not trying to put a time on what's been moving longer, but just kind of the usual process flow, if you will. That's kind of comes from the town manager's office and then rolls down to the departments. So I mean, engaging.
Okay, so as a
Constance is always a good
committee,
sign.
we should have just reached directly to the town manager's office.
I
And
think
we didn't
so.
realize that. Okay.
You know, because we did, Melissa, what we needed to do, that we, you know, enlisted Green Bank. They came in and did a presentation just as they did for us. I think we're ready to move on it, but the council doesn't. I don't think they know that. I don't know. We'll have to discuss it with our caucuses, but I think sometimes they think something's going to happen without them.
Right. They have fear of missing something.
Throwing the switch.
I know, it's like fear of missing something. I mean,
right. I think the switch didn't get turned, so let's work on that.
Okay. And would it help if I just sent a courtesy note to Kasha saying, I'm sorry, we didn't mean to bypass you. We just didn't understand the protocols, and
yeah,
we're just trying to get an assessment, for God's sake.
I know. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like that. Okay. All right.
So
before we move on, I would like I'd like to request for a future agenda when we're not quite so swamped, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, really looking at where we are with our energy subcommittee, such as it is. The full Clean Energy Committee had been folded into this. Then I later learned that the number of authorized members of the Joint Facilities Committee had never been increased. So after being on this committee for 2 years, I learned that I wasn't even a voting member. And we have an energy strategy that is fairly nuanced and was developed, with some investment from the town. And either this is the place to advance it, or staff is the place to advance it, or council. But, I want to have a clear understanding that we're actually doing something with that. So enough.
I think we actually are. I mean, if you look at JFK, I mean, anything that's being put in there is really, meeting very high energy standards. They don't necessarily have renewable that I know of. I don't know, Gina, you're the liaison. Do they have any renewable energy? Chris Cycling, can you help me out on this?
All right.
Not that I know of.
Yes, no, there is no renewable energy at JFK.
Did they look at geothermal or anything, Chris and Walter?
So expensive.
They did look at geothermal. The wells were really expensive. The quantity of wells to make JFK work is what drove the cost up to make it cost prohibitive. They did look at PV, but again, the number of panels just became kind of cost prohibitive at the time.
And without a power purchase agreement.
Right now, well, but you can't do a power purchase agreement with grant money. So the only way you can do it is to actually buy them full at 100% of the cost. So
no, I was saying
which is
power
why
purchase
it didn't make
agreement
any
is when
sense from
you
a grant perspective.
don't buy the panels, when you simply buy the power.
Right, but that can't happen at JFK.
All right, so I didn't want to go into the weeds of this tonight, but I did want to ask to reserve some agenda time when we can be well prepared and go into the weeds.
Yeah, I mean, we have the door is still open for solar. To what extent, I'm not sure, but in terms of geothermal wells, that is not possible at this point.
Okay.
That's something that needed to be in the design over a year ago.
Right. I feel like that predated me even being on.
Oh yeah.
No, solar panels we can certainly consider, given the budget that we have and how we integrate that into the building. I'm not sure that it would be a I don't know that it would generate enough to cover the consumption for the entire building. But it could probably be something. So there is that ability, but I'm not sure what that really means. No one, and when I say this, no one has talked about even looking into putting PV on JFK to date. It's all I'm saying is that it's an option that we can take a look at, but no one has started that conversation.
I think because Enfield High's been through the audit, that's where you could look for a power purchase agreement.
Okay,
Would be-
well, I will follow up with Kasha to make sure that we didn't inadvertently step on her toes, and then, you know, I'd like to just request.
You can
hear more of a thing, and we can talk it through.
Donna, you can start the conversation now for a power purchase agreement. They just can't be installed until, obviously, until JFK is completed. But you can start those conversations now.
Yeah, the Green Bank,
they
for
always
example,
told us
their
we-
program, they are
till
doing the
after
next
the
year, they're
audit.
looking-
What's that?
I
Oh,
always thought it was till after the audit. Art Pomegrants used to always tell us we had to wait till after the audit. You may have been
No,
making
you just
that
have to wait. You just have to wait until the building is completed.
yeah, the Green
Because
Bank.
you're not gonna attribute any of the costs for the power purchase agreement towards the grant reimbursement.
Correct.
So if you're not commingling, then it doesn't matter. You could do it the day after, you know, you move in, essentially.
Right. And the Green Bank
Okay.
is booking now for next year, if not the following year, for actually putting panels on buildings under the power purchase agreement. So,
Okay.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. We should have a meeting of the subcommittee.
Round up the usual.
No. Okay, transfer station, any new information you want to share?
They're actually moving into some other work. They've been engaging North Central Health District about the septic tank or leaching field and whatnot. I believe they should have been out there today doing some perk tests and some other soil digs, doing stuff. So we're cooking and we're moving quite along. So we're on schedule. There's a lot of back and forth between us and the design engineer. So it's an exciting project. I don't see us missing our time frame that we committed to earlier, even with the later start. So things are looking positive, and hopefully we have something a little bit bigger and better coming in the next few meetings to come.
Okay.
Jeff, was that path across addressed that we brought up last meeting to bypass the second scale if we needed to? Like, the whole point was if it went out, we had access to come back on that side of the building. And we had asked about a crossover path.
Okay, I will follow up with that and get the clarification. There's been a lot of movement on things. Again, there was actually a lot of email traffic on that particular project today. But I spent most of my day in the field, so I'm a little bit behind. I don't want to say something incorrectly, but I will make sure I have a proper update our next meeting when we meet again. I did bring those concerns forward. I took a list of them from the committee, but there should be no major issues with anything per se with the changes. It's still very early in the design. I don't think anything with the traffic flow path would be a deal breaker. We're more worried about infrastructure, bringing in the power, where we're going to set concrete pads for compactors and stuff like that. So sliding the road around shouldn't be too big of an issue. And I will get you like I said, probably next meeting or following meeting. I'll check with Donald, see where we stand. Maybe we'll have a little bit. I'll reach out to Donna and Walter, see if we can have a few minutes if there's something really big, so you have a better update than the usual. We're working on this.
Okay. Any other committee members? Okay. Now the master plan. Where are we in the BL contract, and what is the remainder of the work?
Well, we're pretty much done.
Okay.
I'm waiting for final bill submission. I am going through the RFP just to make sure I didn't miss anything one last time, and I'm gonna go through, his whole contract and what he owes and just make sure that he isn't, missing something else that we should be getting out of them.
I thought
So
there were some costs projections.
I think there was something there with some, estimates on pricing. So I'm gonna write something up formally for him on Monday of where we
Okay.
are. And I'm gonna be leveraging that last chunk of cash as our, once you, get it all done, then I'll bring the invoice to the committee for payment.
Okay. And communications, Scott?
Yes, we continue to communicate.
Okay, great. And we're gonna have a new presentation for you in new business to put up there. Okay, new
There's a new one.
business.
There's a new one coming, I'm sorry?
Yeah, new business. We got the annex pool.
Oh,
Go
great.
ahead,
Thank you.
Jeff. I'm turning it over to you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna share my screen here. See if I can get this to launch right. And we'll do F5, F5. All right. When I do that, share screen. Why isn't it? Hold on.
We see you.
Working on it here. I'm not super tech savvy yet. One day, I aspire. If I make
There
this
it is.
large, or does everybody still see it?
Yeah,
We
all
got
right.
it.
We got it now.
Can you still see the big presentation?
Yeah,
you see the
I can.
previews?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, thank you for letting me have this little, I guess, spoil our guys moment here, because I think we did a lot of great things on this project. It wasn't a huge, in money, but unfortunately, when we were doing this and we finished, it was kind of the, March, and it was just an unfortunate series of events, I guess, from here to now. But we did a lot of work over at the annex swimming pool. So as you recall, it was part of a lease package. I'll touch on some of the dates, but it's done. We're open. They've been using it. I know the swim teams have been in doing their thing and adhering to the new guidance. And it's just kind of a nice little story of, things that happen when we appropriate CIP and what happens from it. So here's a nice little picture of, what the pool looks like today. And I have some nicer pictures from where we were to how we got to this particular one. I just want to kind of go over, why this is important. There's some facts about the pool, what it was, what it was before we did stuff, kind of the renovation process, the background, what happens when CIP is allocated. I think that's some of the smoke and mirrors that happens behind that not everybody's always aware to, and where we are. So here's some quick facts on the pool. It was original to the facility, so it was completed in '71. It serves a lot of purpose. First off, it's our competitive team's home field, if you will, for Enfield Dolphins and I believe the Enfield and Summers combined school team swim system. So just kind of some of the fun facts. If you look at what they're doing, there's 35 student athletes for 2 seasons, fall and winter, and they're in there every single day. I did not really realize it was every day, and Saturdays that they're not competing for 2.5 hours doing their practicing. So it's a big time commitment for these kids, and I commend them. And there's 8 meets a season, so it's actually just on a swim team competitive wise for the high school, that's a lot. Then we go into the rec leagues with the Dolphins. There's 195 team members that swim between summer and winter. So, that's another big group that's competitively swimming there. And their season combined is 121 days. So when you put their season with, the public school system or season rather, you're half a year just on competitive swim for teams, which is pretty impressive. Now you get into some of the other programs that our pool hosts, swim lessons, summer camp, open swim. Just with swim lessons, Rec has over 3,600 participants on just swim lessons. We're talking some pretty large people in the community, getting involved in using this. 2,400 kids for the summer camp, and families and whatnot. And then we have the winter open swim, which is a very small season, and I'm sure they're probably looking to do more. But 300 people. So this pool serving well over 6,000 people that we can just put a number on right away. So it's pretty impressive how many people use this pool and how how important it is to, rec and the school system for, their programming and the activities happening across our town. Kind of going over the existing conditions there, again, it was, 50 years old and it was starting to show some age, and it was a good system at the time, when it was designed, but we've kind of evolved in how we do business, how much more efficient equipment is. So, some of the big hurdles, failed equipment and obsolescence, everything there was pneumatically controlled. Unfortunately, it was, it did not work. It did not easily convert into new things without heavy changes in infrastructure. So what does that mean? It means our heating system was manual. We had a pool operator turning on and off boilers and pumps to keep it heated. The valving for all these everything was pretty much done by a person by hand. So, very inefficient, ineffective operation. Another big issue is just, 50-year-old plumbing, numerous leaks with the valving. They're butterfly valves. They have seals and plates. They wear with time. So we're getting a lot of makeup water, which requires a lot of excessive water treatment because you have to treat the raw water that comes into the tank or into the pool, rather, excuse me. What's that also do? It's an unnecessary, water going to the sanitary sewer system. So you're leaking water to drain, you're bringing it in to chemically treat it to then to, prematurely release it back to the drain. So it's like a really vicious cycle of, just wasted, resources, money and energy. You have to heat it too. So bringing in 50-degree makeup water, raising the temperature up to 82 degrees, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when you start getting down to brass tacks and dollars, it's very expensive. The filtration system, sanitation system, it was very maintenance heavy and very chemically heavy. It was a sand filter system. It's a very good system, but it requires, large amounts of backwashing. With that backwashing, you're also using, water to blow the stuff out of the sand and back the drain. So now you're bringing in all that raw water. And when we backwash the filters, it's not like at your home on a sand filter on a pool where it's like 30, 40 seconds. This is minutes and minutes and minutes at, with an 8-inch pipe going to drain. So thousands of gallons of water. You'll have to pay to make up that water. You have to pay to treat that water, pay to treat it, and then we're throwing it right back out to do maintenance. So there's better filter systems that aren't as wasteful. And again, we did that in our draw. The other thing too is when we do all this and with all the water, leaking by, going to drain, backwashing, what does that do? Our chemical usage, it really wreaks havoc. With a pool, we have to maintain very specific limits set by the state and the Department of Health through the North Central District. We're permitted to operate and we have to maintain those things. So when you bring in all this raw water, it's not treated and it has, really, really, really low hardness, which isn't necessarily good for a pool. So what does that do? It really makes us, fluctuate our pH, which wreaks havoc on our CO2 system. We're pumping in chlorine, so we chase our tails around. We're just burning through stuff that we don't need to burn through. And the other big disadvantage was, being a manual system. And even at the time, it was never designed to be automatically filling. It was a manual fill. So now we have a system that has to be filled manually. It's leaking by because the valves are just, shot. And we're where does this get expensive? Is well, on Saturday and Sunday, if no one's there, we have to bring somebody in there to make sure the pool's okay. So we're getting a lot of, extra, overtime for, just to really go fill a pool, which we had to do. And it's not wasteful to do it because, overall to do something that's it's pennies to losing the whole charge or, some of the damage that can, happen. So there's risk with inadvertent low water levels, especially in pool circulating equipment. And that's bearing wear, motor failure, seals overheating, and cavitation wear. Cavitation's where you start getting air bubbles and just slamming and they explode in the piping, and it actually looks like sandblasting, really heavy, or like ball bearings getting thrown onto metal. So all these things just cause your parts and components to wear, and it's not a pretty thing. Cavitation is probably one of the biggest killer of pumps. With seal overheating, it's very expensive, and you really want to avoid that because that can take your system down for days, weeks, and if it's really bad, months. So I kind of want to touch on the process flow of what a CIP project goes through, and this is kind of like really quick. This was part of a leasing program that was in 2019. And, from there, we have a set of money and then we engage our on-call engineering with an RFP. And at that point, once we, get all the quotes in and we get a firm, staff and the consultant, we start preparing bidding documents. We look at what we're doing. We have a budget. We know what we're going at. And it's really trying to get something to the street for bidding. So then, comes the construction bid process. And, publication, that's a big one. You got to get it all vetted through legal, risk, finance, the Department of Labor, because anything over $100,000 needs to have prevailing wages onto it. So there's a lot of little checks and balances. Then, once you're published, you're great. Now you go out there for your minimum time, 10 days or so. Then you make an award, and then from awarding, there's contracting. Contracting is its own thing. Now you're asking the vendor to supply, insurance and other things, COIs and a whole lot of others. So before you can even get ready to do something, once that's all done and we have all the blessings, we can issue a PO, which is my favorite part of the project, because now I have a PO in place and we can finally start doing something. And if you get to know me, once I get to start building, I'm in my happy spot. I love building. Now the fun begins. We get into construction. That goes to your project meeting kickoffs, and then we kind of run right down. Demo, installation, commissioning, invoicing, turnover, and at the end of turnover, we have a completed project. On the far side of the screen, on the left side, I just wanted to show what we spent on this project. We had engineering, coming in at $26,000. The work was another $218,000 worth of work. We did well with our budgeting. We were able to get some extra buys, so I was able to utilize extra money in the lease to get some much needed equipment like pool vacuums, new lane lines. I worked with rec in the school, seeing what they needed if we had a couple dollars to play with. And all together, we came in on budget and roughly on time for a grand total of just over $250,000. So it was a big win for us, and especially getting under budget, we were able to get some equipment that we really needed that we didn't necessarily intend to get. So that was always a really nice thing when you come in under budget. So I kind of want to show a picture of the old mechanical room. It was very 70s with the choice of colors. I love the pea green, very perfect, and it kind of suits really well. You can see the rust, you can see the wear. I had a chance, and I have a really good picture of what the inside of the pipes looked like, but they looked worse on the inside. So it was really good to get those out of here, because there really wasn't anything in there. Kind of like a ticking clock in the background. We were just kind of waiting for something to happen. So this CIP project getting pushed through, especially now with JFK not having a pool. Being a sole indoor pool community, this was like one of the most key things to ensure reliability, and that was another big advantage of this project. We can have a reliable pool. So I just wanted to kind of show the new schematic. I enjoy looking at these. The left side shows kind of how it works electrically. The right side is kind of the layout, and I have some nice pictures of what the new room looks like, and it makes a little bit more sense than the drawings. So here, I talked about new equipment. That big blue monster in the background is a diatomaceous earth filter. That thing is like top of the line. You can't get any fancier, any more efficient. It is probably one of the best things you can do. It is a fantastic machine. It's very easy to maintain. A lot of its processes are automated. The pool operators love it because you're interfacing with a touch screen. It's very straightforward. It's really neat how it works. And it just makes our life a lot easier, because it's kind of like set it and forget it, if you will. We kind of, it's not so hands-on, this system. Everything kind of does its own thing. It fills by itself. Everything, the chemicals pump in by themselves. The CO2 goes in by itself. The heating system works now, so it heats all on its own. We give it a parameter running. Our operators are just validating that the automation's working right, and we calibrate now. So that's the dream state. When you're in that calibration and monitoring, we're not chasing our tails around. So it's a beautiful thing. I did speak a lot about some of the other things that we started taking on. It's not too often that we have a 6-week window with no one using that facility in a pool that's empty. There was a lot of maintenance that we were able to kind of get involved with that we usually don't get the chance to do, because it's not too often you drain a pool. about once every 5 years. Then that's to change, if we can't get divers, to change the grills on the bottom, and that's a standard that we have to follow. So it was really, really good. And what was kind of nice is we wanted to really kind of, spruce this up. We had some, money in our accounts. We needed to do some work anyways. And this is where I came into the, new equipment, LED lights. We had T12 bulbs up there. So we're going real old vintage fluorescent lighting to replace the bulbs and replace the ballast. It was actually cheaper for us to just go all LED, new fixtures. So that's what we did. We went LED new fixtures, and it looks gorgeous. I have some finished products of what that pool room looks like. It's easier for me to replace those strip lights because of the amount of labor and getting a lift rental and all that stuff in there. It's, to do all that, there's no real changes in the cost. And actually, because we're not trying to, worry about old rusty hardware, we're kind of cutting it down. It's a little faster for our electrician to go in there and just put in new stuff, because he's not fighting the rust and the corroding. And that's probably one of the biggest issues with the pool area. You have a lot of moisture, a lot of chlorine in that air. So it's just heavy corrosion. Even stainless steel will corrode in those atmospheres. So it's a kind of a pain to deal with. And the exterior doors, everybody knew those old doors were shot beyond repair. And again, having that time frame where we could get in there and pull them out of the jams and replace them, it was just one of those things that we had money to do it. It was just like, pull the trigger. Let's just do it. Let's just get it over with. So, again, this is all work that we did internally, buildings and grounds and custodial services. And this is like, I'm so proud of all the work they accomplished over there. Some of the other stuff too is like, we all remember the stands. They were kind of, a little bit of graffiti, scratches from kids over the years, the stains worn off, the baluster here kind of kicked out of the concrete. Well, I kind of got a motto over there. We planed and stained everything. We stripped everything out of there. All those planks, all the mounting hardware, all the bolsters, the rails, the seats, they all made it down to the wood shop. They stripped them. If it was made of wood, they ran it through a planer. They rejoined it. They made repairs to restain it. So it's the stuff that was there originally, but it went through a little bit of a heavy, tender loving care process where we were able to get it back into spec, get rid of a lot of, just heavy wear items, lots of scratching. Amazing how much graffiti you find underneath something when you pull it up and you can look at it in good light. So it looks a lot nicer. It's absolutely gorgeous. We also, re-epoxied the floor in that whole grandstand. So it's a nice, beautiful, slip-resistant epoxy floor. We repaired the stairs. The concrete was pretty heavily spalled and cracking. So we're able to get in there and do some pretty good concrete work. We did a lot of deep cleaning and other repairs. So like the metal ceiling that was, missing sections and coming down. We got a lift in there, a very specialized lift so we could boom over the pool and get up to the ceiling. We fixed the ceiling. We ended up spending a lot of time cleaning, just power washing and treating with acid, getting a lot of the built up calcium and other minerals that just kind of, with time that we don't get the chance to do. We repair a lot of the pool deck with the tiling. You start looking at all those little tiles. There's a chip here, a broken one there. We were able to get in there, just have one time where we could go in there, tile and grout, and then like not have to worry about people coming in for the 3 days that everything needed to set. So it was a really nice thing. And then we did a whole lot of painting. We painted the whole pool area. We painted the locker rooms. We got up there with that special lift that we rented to paint the skylights. We cleaned the grills above the pool. These are all things that are just so hard to do without a large window of time to take something down. And since we were going in for this big mechanical repair, it was just one of those, let's just do it. It's not too often that you get a chance to get in there, and having all this stuff done at one time, it kind of sets our clock back to zero, and we don't have to worry about a lot of these things. They're done, they're over, and we're good for like a 5 to 7 year window on a lot of items. So it's just a really nice win for us all. Going on to the next slide. Here are some of the work in progress. So we did not paint over the mural of the dolphins. It's there. It just needed a little love. You can kind of see where the paint poured over with time. So, we went in there, we touched it up. It looks as nice as the day it was put in. You can see the old metal ceiling. It's kind of interesting looking at the pool without water, and it looks completely different, whole nother animal, and a lot colder. You forget how much heat that pool throws off when it's 82 degrees, that big body of water. It was a a lot of work to clean that pool. We spent a lot of labor hours getting in there, like I said, hitting it with citric acid, breaking up those minerals, pressure washing, scrubbing. But it needed it. And again, it's not too often you get to drain a pool and keep it empty for that long of a period of time. Usually we have, you know, about a day or two of it being empty when we change the grills, not 6 weeks. So again, this is just one of those things where we had the time, we had the staff, we had the money. It was just a no-brainer to do it. And, you know, here's where we're coming along. Here's kind of like a picture of the stands that we ended up redoing. Again, we removed all those planks. All those went through the wood shop. All those hand railings, all those seats, all those bolsters, they all came off. Everything was stripped, painted, stained, sanded. They're smooth. I mean, they're like glass. We have a nice epoxy coating, and I probably multiple layers of urethane on there to get some good life out of them, so we can, you know, have another 50 years of nice seating. We with the nice epoxy floor, we put a sand grit in it to make it a little bit more slip resistant. If you remember, it was just bare concrete before. Didn't really offer you a lot of slip resistance. So with that epoxy and a sand texture, being a pool area, if anybody's got wet feet or people coming in and out of the deck, it just, you know, that's always nice having something slip resistant in there. Now you're starting to see kind of like the painting, you know, being completed. We went from the old Fermi blue, which a lot of the pools still had, to a, you know, a nicer neutral tone that just kind of sets the space, really being a town utilized building. So just getting a fresh coat of paint in there. It's amazing how much brighter it is with the that older, I don't know what it would be, like a mauve or in that blue. It just the lighter color just opens it up, and with the skylights on a nice sunny day, it just feels so much nicer. And then, you know, just kind of like more work, just kind of showing, you know, the evolution of how things are coming. And what's nice is you can see the brightness of those LED lights, not that orange flicker of the old T12s. So between the lighting and the paint, it's very bright. It feels nice. It doesn't feel like you're in a big wet cave anymore. So it is nice to be in there. Here's some things for deep cleaning. I don't know how people are about pressure washing, but, you know, in fun fact, in my spare time, I like watching those pressure washing videos. If you see something dirty, get clean. It's very soothing. It's appealing to me. So just kind of showing you, this is just kind of fun. All the stuff coming off the pool with the guys moving. I could watch that all day. I don't know what it is about pressure washing things, but it's just so nice to see something clean. You can kind of see all the dirt and goo and minerals. And then another fun fact, I didn't realize how many bobby pins you find in the bottom of a pool. They must have the market on hold down there. Bobby pins were everywhere. So now we're getting to the fun part. We get out. You're starting to see this place looking nice. We're filling. So another little cool fact, you know, 200 gallons per hour for 16 hours to fill that whole pool up, 166,000 gallons. That's a lot of water. It was fun. We orchestrated with the Hazardville Water Company because we didn't want to fill too fast because we were actually we could do damage to the main outside and drop pressure. So there was a lot of, you know, between our office and Hazardville Water, just making sure we were filling good enough, but not, you know, so slow it's taking forever, but not so fast we're causing damage to other people, because that's a lot of water. They were nice enough to work with us and use their hydrant, or else we would have been filling forever. So, you know, we had, you know, nice enough, Hazardville Fire, I believe, lent us some of their hose lines. So, you know, it was a nice little town project, multiple agencies working together to get a common thing done. So it's just really, it was really a pleasant project in general. And then, you know, here's the finished product with the nice water. Everything's heated, tiles all redone, all repainted, the ceiling's repaired. It looks gorgeous. We replaced a lot of the jets that were missing, so the water actually sits clear. So this is like you know, I would put this pool up against anyone. You know, even like a Marriott or a Hyatt hotel. This thing is just beautiful. We got new lane dividers, new backstroke flags. So this thing is ready to swim. We're ready for competition. And I would say, you know, the northern side of Connecticut, this is one of the prettiest pools I've seen in a while. So it's just a nice little fun project for us. And again, we did a lot of work in-house, and I'm actually still trying to track down a dollar value of, you know, compared to what if we were to have someone on the outside to do it, and we couldn't compete. So it's just a nice little thing. And thank you for letting me kind of brag about this project. I'm very proud of our buildings and ground staff and our custodial services. They put their hearts into this thing, and it just looks so nice. And, you know, we're not done. So we're still working. We're currently putting in a new ADA chairlift in there to make it, you know, nicer, more code compliant. And we're also leveraging some more CIP really geared on energy reduction, you know, because maintaining a pool, the heating, the conditioning, it's very cost prohibitive. So anytime that there's money around, and I've been working with Donald and John Wilcox, there's some places where we can pick from and start tackling some other energy, you know, operating things. So that's all to come in the future. And, you know, thank you for having this, you know, little segment, and I appreciate the time on the agenda. And if there's any questions or anything, I'm happy to answer them. And again, whoever's watching from Buildings and Grounds Custodial Services, I appreciate it. Your work does not go unnoticed, and I will brag about you guys till the day I'm no longer here.
Thanks, Jeff. See, Scott, I promised you new material.
Good job, Jeff. Looks good.
Good job, Jeff.
I just wanted to say to Jeff, it's so appreciative to see somebody that's that passionate about something like power washing, and you sold us. We were very impressed. And I would agree. The pool does have a Marriott feel to it. It looks great.
Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, I got one question. I got a question that everybody's thinking. You said you found so many things under the bleachers. Did you find Fermi's bust?
No, but you know, we're doing some work. We're doing some other work with the plumbers, and I thought we were going to find Jimmy Hoffa at one point. It's not too often you get an asset like this down that long where you can really do some really deep work. And it was just, you know, again, kudos to the DPW staff. Kudos to Buildings and Grounds and Custodial Services. Yeah,
awesome job.
Those guys rocked it. And I just appreciate their determination and how fast they executed. You know, big shout out to Mark Garr for getting a lot of these rentals and getting this stuff, together. There's just so many. It was just a very large project. It wasn't all about the contractor coming in. They really only worked in the mechanical room. Everything else was, our people. So it was just a really big project for us, and it's just a nice little bragging point.
No, I for one, I'm really happy. I mean, this was a big involvement to do this, and the money came from the council very easily, and I think that it's a great success. And we need to appreciate the things that we do get done. And we need to tell them. So, well, if we put it up on our website, maybe somebody from the council will take a peek at it as well. And, when we're looking for a presentation, to the council on things that we do, we can bring it forward and show them some of the stuff we accomplished. And Melissa, did you notice those LED lights? Okay. Any more comments from the committee? Can I get a motion? We're going to set a meeting. It'll be December 10th.
Well, do we want to go over these change orders and invoices?
Yes. Yeah. Walter, do you have them? I could not print them.
Yes, I do. So
okay, I'm going
to add, adding to the agenda 6B is a change order for the phase 3 of Henry Barnard Elementary School from, let me see the contractors, JHS Restorations Incorporated. And it's for the amount of $24,840, bringing the total phase 3 to $294,974. And this is dated 11/12/2020.
Can we get a second to put this on the agenda?
Second.
Okay, I got Doug. Show of hands first. So motion now, can we get a motion to approve?
So a motion to approve. So a motion to approve the change order from JHS Restoration Incorporated in the amount of $24,840. Am I reading this right, Jeff?
Yeah, that sounds right, Walter.
Yeah, because there's another number on here, but there's a deduct. Okay, yeah, I got it. Yep.
It's a deduct. It's a
Yeah, yeah.
$5,000
Yeah.
deduct.
Okay. So it is $24,840 to bring the total to $294,974, dated 11/12/2020.
And Tim, you're seconding that?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, show of hands?
Aye.
Okay. All right.
So,
and then-
so now I have a motion for 6C to add to the agenda and a certificate of or invoice for the amount of $47,490.73 to JHS Restorations Incorporated. This is invoice number 2, dated October 16th, 2020. And balance to finish, including retainage, is $19,748.70.
So moved.
Tim seconding that? And now that's to add it to the agenda?
That's the added to the agenda. So now, did we vote on it? Vote.
Yeah, we need to vote on that. Show of hands.
Add it.
Okay, all in favor? Now.
And now a motion to approve application number 2, invoice from JHS Restorations Incorporated, dated October 16th, 2020, for the amount of $47,490.73.
Second.
Okay, Tim second, all in favor? Show of hands.
And that's all the additions I have tonight.
All in favor, none against.
That's all the additions I have tonight. Thank you.
Right. Jeff, do you have printed copies of that need my signature?
Yeah, I do, and I can bring them to town manager's office, or you can swing by Moody Road, or I can drop them off. I don't,
Just Jeff, don't forget on the change order, you still got to get the
You gotta get
contractor
the
signature.
contractor signature, and then I will come by and sign them. So
All right,
whenever
you can-
they're ready, just, email me and tell me where they are, and I'll go over and sign them.
Yeah, if you
Okay?
have a preference, we'll work through that. I'll get that all out. We'll get it figured out.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And I'll forward copies to the rest of the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. All right. Any more committee comments? Next meeting is December 10th, I believe. That is the second Tuesday of the month. So at
Double
that
check.
point, we will know if the council has approved our request. Motion to adjourn?
Excuse me. Hold it a second.
Go ahead, Mr. Neville.
Is that the only meeting we have in December, or do we have another one?
The next one would be 14 days, which would mean the 24th. So I think
That's not happening.
That was my point.
Oh, come on. Can't we all Zoom in on Christmas Eve?
Sure.
Well, I'm a virtual toast.
Well, that sounds good.
I'd zoom in with Lakeview.
Now you guys are finally getting something good on the
Maybe
agenda.
2. Maybe 3.
Okay, so all in favor of adjourning? Okay. See you
Good night,
guys.
everyone. Thank you again. Thank you,
Have a
Buildings
great
and Grounds. Great
Thanksgiving
job.
if I don't see
Thanksgiving,
everybody.
everybody.
Night.